It's been a little more than a year since the first Equestria Girls movie, and many fans were wondering whether we'd ever see the humanized main six again. I must admit, when Rainbow Rocks was first announced several months back, I was hesitant. There were many elements that I thoroughly enjoyed in the first film, but there were many cringe-worthy moments as well. Would the writers learn from their shortcomings and create a more entertaining follow-up? Or would we see even more of the same? Well, I figured that I shouldn't be trying to tackle this movie alone, because after all, I'm still not considered the target demographic for My Little Pony. So once again, I have enlisted some help from my nieces, ages 12 and 9, who have decided to name their characters Heartsong and Sunkissed respectively, for the purposes of this video. Glad to have you two back for another movie review.
It's great to be back.
It's fun to be here again.
It's always nice to have some added perspective for these reviews. Now, how much of an impact did Rainbow Rocks leave? Let's find out. So, how do you think Rainbow Rocks compares to the first Equestria Girls movie?
I think that I like Rainbow Rocks better because it has a lot more action in it.
I think I liked the first one better because this one was a little bit overdone.
In my opinion, I think I actually had more fun watching Rainbow Rocks than I did with the first film. I'm still waiting to see an actual MLP movie that focuses on the world of Equestria, but I do believe that the sequel is a step up from the original. So who is your favorite character in this film?
Sunset Shimmer because she had more of a role in this movie and she interacted with the other characters nicely.
Sunset Shimmer because this is more of her story and she was much nicer.
I'm going to have to go with my nieces on this one. Sunset Shimmer is the most interesting character in this film. This really is her story, just like I was hoping it would be. We get plenty of time to focus on the other characters we've enjoyed for years now, but comparing the Sunset Shimmer of today with how I saw her last year, her character is far more fleshed out. She goes through a much more relatable struggle, and she adds a unique perspective when interacting with the others. I actually want to see more of Sunset Shimmer in the future, when before she had barely left any impression on me at all. Bravo to the writers for exceeding my expectations here. So what did you think of the villains of this film?
I think that they were really cheesy and that they could have been done better.
I did like their music, but I think they could have been done better.
The villains are enough to give some weight to the central conflict, but they did seem like a lot of the other bad characters that I've come across before. A lot of cliché banter and not enough development. I will say that their backstory actually has some potential. Adds a little more world building to Equestria, especially when it comes to who banished them in the first place. Overall though, not really that interesting. Good enough to move the plot along, but quickly forgotten once the movie is over. So what do you think about the main six and their roles in this film?
I think that they were more interesting in this movie than the first because in the first we were just barely introduced to them. They interacted in this movie more, though Twilight didn't have as much of a role.
I actually liked the main six in this one more than the last one because they talked with each other much more.
I did like a lot of the interactions between the main six here. They're still the characters that we enjoy from the series, and there's plenty of fun humor along with some quotable lines. There was time set aside for us to get to know them, and their role in the story doesn't feel as contrived as the first film. Whereas with Equestria Girls, there is a conflict set up between them with little build-up and a very quick resolution. In Rainbow Rocks, it seems much more natural when problems arise, and even how they overcome them. Add another point for the writers here. So how do you think Rainbow Rocks compares to the TV series?
I think that the series has a lot more to it, so it is more interesting, but the movie is still very exciting.
I liked them the same because they had equal action.
Compared to the TV series, I can still go back and watch episodes from the show over and over again and still find new elements to enjoy. With Rainbow Rocks, I think it is a little more worthwhile than the first film, but still doesn't leave as much of an impact as the original series does. The characters are still likable, but I've seen better moments from them in the show. The cameo appearances are fantastic and memorable, but I worry that the writers might have been depending on such elements a bit too much. The music is better than I expected, but I'm still not much of a fan. A step up from the first film, as there were a few songs that actually left an impact on me, but the majority of them weren't really my thing. There will likely be plenty of remixes coming from the fandom in short order, but I don't think I'll be listening to them anytime soon. I'd say the best elements in Rainbow Rocks is the humor and the character arc for Sunset Shimmer. A little convoluted at times, but I am glad to see what they did with her part in the story. And with how everything came to an end? Well, I think I'd better save some of those thoughts for another video. So, would you want to see Rainbow Rocks again?
Definitely.
The movie is so-so, but I could watch it again.
Overall, would I say that Rainbow Rocks is worth seeing? For fans of the show, you will most certainly find more than a few enjoyable moments. While not quite on par with the series, I do believe the MLP staff are getting better in their work, and I look forward to seeing what they have in store for us next. In the meantime, though, I would like to hear from each of you. Have you seen Rainbow Rocks yet? Do you feel more or less interested in checking it out after watching this review? And for those of you that have, would you recommend it to others? Why or why not? I would like to hear your thoughts on Rainbow Rocks, and stay tuned for my next review of the film where I get into some spoilers and see what kind of intriguing ideas await us in the future. Until next time, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.